Hey folks, Longhorn Lester here. Psh. And today I'm wearing my man up attire. But I'll tell you what, it's not working. So I'm just gonna tell you, I don't even care anymore. I'm off the meds that I was taking for a while. And I'm gonna tell you what, even though I'm a little bit embarrassed about the fact that I get emotional in today's video, I'm happy that I was able to get emotional in a video because the meds that doctor had prescribed me had made me where I couldn't feel anything. I had no feelings at all. None. And even though I'm a bit embarrassed at times, and I know I've embarrassed my family members, and I know you're embarrassed for me, today's a good video. But it's an emotional one. It pulls some strings, if you will. And so y'all bear with me as I work my way through it. I think it's unfortunate. Did y'all just hear Brady hiccup? I think it's unfortunate that there are sometimes animals around the farm who seem to go unnoticed. And no matter how neat and unique they might be and different things that they can do or things that, their personality types, that they go unnoticed. And that's really sad because if you think about it, I think it's the same way in life about some people. As a matter of fact, I know it's that way in life about people. I'm going to tell you a story about a kid named Brady. Now, guys, this story happened a very, very long time ago, and I don't even know how I had forgotten it because it was a pretty impactful story and it helped shape my teaching career. It really did. I've always said that I think that my strength as a teacher comes from the fact that I was able to build relationships with my students. And a lot of teachers can't do that. A lot of teachers may be great at lesson planning and creating assessments and all the different things that you have to do at being a teacher, classroom management, you can go down the list. But not every teacher can create relationships, where your kids begin to trust you and they can rely on you and they can come to you with the problems. And I've learned that those relationships mean everything. I mean, to me, this is my opinion as a teacher, but I feel like a relationship with a student is a lot more impactful than any lesson planning, any planning of assessments, no matter how well you know the curriculum. Man, if you can build a relationship with a student and have them learn to trust you, they will give you their all. They will go. It's kind of like you might would do for your drill sergeant in the military. You may hate the guy for a while, but at some point, once you learn to trust your drill sergeant, you would run through a brick wall to make him happy. And so I feel the same. It kind of is the same way with teachers and students when they have good relationships. The story goes back, y'all. It goes back 27 years. And so how in the world did I remember this story after 27 years? Every teacher has to go through a 12-week program called student teaching. It's similar to an internship. If you're a doctor or whatever, you have to spend some time actually in the classroom so that you can kind of get the ins and outs of what a classroom looks like. Now, this whole time you're working with an actual certified teacher, and they're the ones kind of walking you through the motions, showing you everything there is to know about being a teacher so that when you finally graduate and you get your very own classroom, you're not lost. Yeah, college can teach you a lot. They can give you that degree, that certification, but you actually learn more during that 12 weeks than you might learn through all of the years of your college degree program. And I'll tell you what, I learned a very important lesson during my 12 weeks, and I'm going to tell you that story right now. Guys, 6 of those 12 weeks, they assigned me to a kindergarten classroom. Now, why in the world would they take a man? Now, of course, at that age, I'm 21, 22 years old. Why would they take a 22-year-old man and assign him to a kindergarten classroom? That was beside me. I have no idea why that ever happened because, listen to me, I never had aspirations of teaching little kids. I've always enjoyed working with older kids. My certification was everything from kindergarten through 8th grade. So I could teach any of those grade levels. So I guess they just randomly gave me a kindergarten teacher. But as much as I may have hated it when I was first assigned, I learned that working with Mr. Madrigal, that was the guy's name, Mr. Madrigal, not magical, Madrigal is his name in Spanish. But working with Mr. Madrigal was the best thing that ever happened to me as far as a teacher goes. The teaching part of teaching. But listen what happened in that classroom that made me the best teacher as far as student relations go. Going out with those kids to recess every day, you know, going with them to lunch and doing all the different things that I was assigned to do as the student teacher, taking them, you know, to their water and restroom breaks, and a lot of what you might call the dirty jobs, things that teachers don't actually want to do, but someone has to do it. So a lot of mentor teachers would assign that to your student teacher. So what I began to do every day when I was outside with the kids is I would run around and play with them. And man, there was just one kid, y'all. His name was Harvey. And Harvey was a cute little guy. Now listen, we all know that, okay, this is gonna sound mean. This is gonna sound really mean, but I'm being honest. You've all seen different kids. And some kids are really cute and they're outgoing and they're fun and they're just a real pleasure to be around. And then sometimes you have kids that may not be as fun to hang around with. They may not be as entertaining as, you know, as others. And so Harvey was the kind of kid, man, that was a whole lot of fun. And everyone loved Harvey. All the boys and girls, all the teachers in the school, everyone loved Harvey. He was outgoing, very articulate. He was funny. And man, I remember, guys, listen to me. One time we were all outside playing. It was recess. I took the kids out. Mr. Madrigal didn't want to go because it was hot or whatever. And so I took the kids out and I got Harvey by his hands. And we were running in a circle. And you know how that little game goes where you start running in a circle and all of a sudden the kid's legs come off the ground and you're spinning that kid around. Now, I know what you're all thinking. Lester, how you can't pick up a kid that way. Yeah, 27 years ago, it wasn't quite as the way it is today. I would never pick up a little kindergartner and spin him around today. But 27 years ago, I picked up Harvey and I gave him a a whirly bird, a spin around. His little legs come off the ground and Harvey's sitting there and all these kids, guys, all these kids are standing around watching as I spin Harvey. Man, Harvey's laughing and I'm dizzy and Harvey's dizzy. I finally put his little legs back down and he, you know how kids do. He stumbles around and everyone just laughs and points. And we go on to whatever we're doing with recess. At some point, we blow the whistle and we all go back inside the building. The 6 weeks that I spent in kindergarten were fun. I'm not going to say it really prepared me a whole lot for what I would face in middle school and high school classrooms later, but it was a fun 6 weeks as far as fun goes, spending time with kiddos. Guys, but it wasn't until my very last day in kindergarten, after 6 weeks, spending time with these kiddos, Mr. Madrigal thought it would be fun to throw me a little party. He was going to throw me a party right here before the last day of my student teaching day. And so sure enough, all the kids in the classroom, they write me little letters, and Mr. Madrigal brings some cake and some cupcakes and some punch, whatever he had. And guys, we're sitting there and they have some music on, and I'm sitting there eating my stuff and I'm giving the kids hugs and telling them goodbye and everything. And I didn't have time to read all the letters, y'all. I did not have time to read all the letters right then and right there. But unfortunately, I probably opened up Harvey's letter, and I read a few here and there. And listen to me, y'all. It wasn't until I walked out to my car and put all my little gifts and goodies that they had given me into the back seat. And I was just taking a few minutes to read through some of those letters. And guess what? I got to the one from Brady. Now, Brady, like I already said, he wasn't a kid that I don't know if I'd ever spent any time with Brady at all, to be honest. And as much as you're all sitting there, oh, and right now feeling bad for Brady, the conviction began to overcome me. And it gets worse. As I open up Brady's letter, I'm not trying to be mean, but, a kid that was probably not as well dressed. He was probably a little bit heavy, heavy in weight. Not as clean, not as articulate. Nothing about Brady, guys. You know where I'm going here. And then I opened his letter, and here's what it said. In kindergarten handwriting, it said, "The funnest day I remember with you was when you picked up Harvey." I'm gonna cry. His best memory with me, y'all. Little Brady's favorite memory with me was the day that I picked up and spun Harvey. He says, I'm never gonna forget that day of my life. This was a kindergartner pretty much taking and slapping me across my face. And I think it hurts as bad today as it did then. Oh, I sat in my car, a 21-year-old man, and I cried like a baby. And I felt horrible that I never spent more time with that little kid. That I never took time to have a real conversation. That I never took time to, just get to know him. And after 6 weeks in that classroom, I left that little boy with one memory that he'll never forget. The day I picked up and spun Harvey. Oh, I hate myself for that. That's probably why I'm so sick today. I'm kidding. Oh, I'll tell you what it did though. It was a slap in my face. And as much as it hurt then as it hurts today, I think it made me a better teacher. Because once I got to my new classroom, I always made sure to pay attention to those Bradys. And I like to think that with all the thousands of students I've taught over the 26 years that I've actually in the classroom, yeah, there was always your Harveys. Those kids that just stood out, those that were well dressed and always come to school clean and in the school uniform. Those that always brought the teacher, gifts on his birthday or for Christmas. But man, you love those kids. But I always made sure that I always paid attention to the Bradys, not just the Harveys. Anyway, I walk out here now, and I sit there and I say, Lester, it's not really different with all these babies you have here. If you're not careful, Sometimes you can find yourself videoing the same ones over and over. You can find yourself making multiple videos about those that, those that present themselves to you. The pebbles, if you will. Of course, that's just with the goats. You got your Ringos, you got your Shirley birds. But just in general, there's so many animals here, your hucks. My God, you just look around and so many of them that people love, that their names. You know everything about them. And then there's others that sometimes you just don't spend as much time on. They're just as neat if you just take time to get to know them. And I'm going to try, y'all. I'm going to try to start doing that more. I'm going to try to start remembering that life lesson that I learned in kindergarten, for Christ's sake. Why am I emotional? Pebbles? Oh my goodness. What's wrong with Daddy today? What's wrong with Daddy? You can say that I'm sick if you want to, but isn't this actually a good thing? Isn't it a good thing if you can be so sick that you have these kind of thoughts? Pebbles really is concerned about me. She really is concerned about Daddy out here in the pasture, crying like a baby. Okay, I'm done. I got it out of my system. I love you, Brady. As I do all of you guys. Laverne, you're one of them that I don't spend a lot of time with. I love you, Brady. And wherever you are today, little Brady, can y'all imagine that? If this kid was a 6-year-old then, and that's been 27 years ago, that's a 31, 32-year-old kid right now. I hope he doesn't follow this page, because I'm a little bit embarrassed about that. But if he does, I apologize. And I hope that you know that whatever got into you that day to let me know, you did not do it out of malice or with any malintent at all. You were just being honest. And it was a good thing that you were, because it helped me a whole lot in my career. Maybe I'm just emotional because school year's starting and I'm not a part of it. I go back to work next week, but it's for bus driver, CPR, bus driver, recertification classes, learning all the new ins and outs, making sure I know my route, anything that's changed along the route. All right, guys.